This vanilla pudding is going to remind you so much of those little treats you got in your lunchbox as a kid, only this one's going to be way better, of course. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make this old-fashioned creamy classic from scratch. Once you see how simple this is, you'll never buy it again. Into a saucepan, combine 2 cups of whole milk, a quarter cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. Some people say you have to start with the dry ingredients and then add the milk after, but I've found there's really no difference. So bring this over to the stove and let this cook over medium heat until it comes to a boil. You'll want to use a saucepan with a fairly thick bottom or this can burn pretty easily. It's probably going to take about 10 to 12 minutes for it to come to a boil, but when it does, you're going to notice it'll start to thicken. At that point, lower the heat and let it boil for about 1 minute. It's not going to thicken too much, but you will notice a difference in the consistency when you're whisking. After about a minute of cooking, take it off the heat and separate 2 eggs. We'll only be needing the yolks, but do save the whites for another recipe. Whisk those egg yolks for about 1 minute until they turn a light lemony color, and now we're going to start adding in spoonfuls of that hot milk mixture. This is to slowly bring up the temperature of those egg yolks so they don't turn into scrambled eggs when we add them back in. So just keep adding spoonfuls, whisk vigorously as you do so, until you end up with about half a cup of this tempered egg mixture. Now you're going to add this back into your hot pudding and return it to the heat and let it cook on medium-low very slowly. The trick is you want to heat this enough to cook the egg yolks and to thicken it a little more, but not necessarily to really boil it. You'll be able to feel it thicken as you're whisking, and as soon as you see the first bubble, that's when you can take it off the heat and now whisk in 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 1/4 teaspoons of vanilla. Whisk that in until it's nice and smooth, and for best results, this type of pudding always turns out better when you strain it. Because inevitably you can end up with little lumps of cornstarch or coagulated egg. And I know it looks really thin right now, but just cover it with plastic and let it chill for a few hours, and I promise if you measured all the ingredients correctly, this is how smooth and creamy your vanilla pudding will turn out. I think pudding is such a classic old-fashioned dessert, and honestly, I really want to know what your favorite kind of pudding is, so let me know in the comments down below, because I'm just nosy that way. Chances are if you tell me what kind of pudding you like, I will make a video for it. No matter the flavor, I think pudding is one of the most underrated desserts out there. Hit that like button if you agree. I'm gonna have to say my favorite pudding really is vanilla. At least it is today.